These lenses took me to another world, and I'm super excited to talk to you guys about them today. But first, let's see what they can do. I was able to document the life of the world's smallest creatures, explore tiny mushrooms as if they were vast landscapes, and capture the most pristine, beautiful detail of a small flower. This is my review of the Sirui Jupiter Cinema Lens Set. What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are doing fantastic in this beautiful time of year. To me, this is the happiest time of year. I'm in South Florida, and 10 months out of the year, it is scorching hot. I thought to myself, you know what? Let me come outside and do this video, change things up a little bit, enjoy this beautiful nature and this scenic background I got going on behind me. And yeah, man, you know, I feel extremely lucky because Sirui sent me out this entire cinema lens set for me to try, and I was excited about that, but I had no idea how awesome they were, and I wanted to see what I could capture and just go out there and just shoot, man, and just have a good time with no expectations, just find stuff to shoot. I just wanted to go out and have some fun. So starting off with the body of the lenses, I could tell that these lenses were made with quality materials. You could feel them and they had some weight to it. They weren't made with plastic parts. The gear rings were solid. The body of the lens was solid. It was made with really good material. Mostly today, we're gonna focus on the 75 and the 100 millimeter, and those two lenses had a 2.8 to a T22 stop. And for those of you guys who don't know, cinema lenses uses T stops instead of f stop, so this would be an equivalent to about a 2.5 f stop. One thing that I really love about Sirui's design is the fact that they kept every lens in this set consistent with the aperture and focus gear in the same exact place. They also all have the same 95 millimeter diameter and the 92 millimeter filter thread, which makes swapping these lenses out on your cinema rig really easy because the focus and the aperture rings are all in the same exact spot, so you don't have to move around your follow focus. All you might have to do is tweak the depth of your matte box, either a little bit forward or a little bit backward, to be able to fit the lenses, because the 100 millimeter lens and the 24 millimeter lens are pretty different as far as length goes. Now, what was very impressive about these lenses is that it has the ability to focus down to 24 millimeters, which is less than an inch away from the lens. And that's because all these lenses in this set are designed to be macro lenses. Now, the lenses that I'm currently using for all my projects are Sigma Art lenses, and while they're absolutely amazing, they don't have the ability to focus down this close to the lens, which for me was very interesting to be able to use and was a huge plus. Now, right out of the case, you would think that the 75 and the 100 millimeter, because they're the largest lenses, they would be the heaviest lenses, but in fact, they're actually the lightest lenses in this set, and probably the lightest lenses that I own. On the smart side of the lens, you have markings for both feet and meters, and the rotation of the focus ring is about 200 degrees. And one thing that I noticed right away is how smooth the focus ring is. It just feels good in your fingers, like as you're moving it and as you're trying to capture focus. And I will say it was a little bit of a different experience using my Sigma Art lenses. I feel like the Sigma Art focus ring was a little bit tighter and a little bit stiffer. This is a little bit more smooth, so it took some getting used to, but ultimately I really enjoyed it. The aperture gear is a little bit stiffer than the focus ring, but that's actually a good thing because I don't want accidentally, as I'm shooting something, for my finger or something else to tap the aperture ring and change the aperture in the middle of a shot. I'm actually glad that's a little bit stiffer than the focus ring. This lens also comes with a lens support with a 1/4-20 right in the middle of it, and of course this is removable if you need it to be. This lens also comes with a rear cap and a bendable front cap that is friction fit, and because all the lenses are the same diameter, each lens cap fits on every single lens. Now let's take a second and talk about the performance of these lenses. I noticed right away that there was a lot of focus breathing in both the 75 and the 100 millimeter lenses, but of course that's to be expected because these are macro lenses. What I found really cool about these lenses was the ability to shoot through objects with the 75 and the 100 millimeter. I was able to focus on something super far away and then start dialing in that focus all the way back to like a couple inches away from the lens. And if you notice, like in this shot right here, I actually shot through all of these objects in the front to see the landscape in the back, which to me was cool because this kind of opens a whole new creative door in my storytelling. If I want to be able to shoot through something and then come all the way back to like the opening of a door or something. Now, I know you guys are thinking a lot of macro lenses do this, but this is the first time that I've taken a prime 100mm lens and shot through something like this and actually had the ability to like focus all the way to like a couple inches in front of the lens, which I thought was really cool. The other thing that I noticed from these lenses right away when I started using them was a lot of vintage qualities, like when light hits the lens, you get all of these awesome, unique lens flares. Just how soft the image is. It almost feels like there's a light bloom filter on all these lenses, which gives it its own kind of unique look, which I thought was pretty cool. Whenever there's a large light source coming into the lens, at some times it gave it kind of like this haze slash mist effect. Might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I thought it gave it kind of a unique character to the lens. And I have to say that, especially with these macro lenses, when I was on the money with my focus pulling, the shots blew me away, man. Like, especially when I was shooting these ants. This image that I captured, this was actually right here in this backyard. I went to like this bush over here and I just found a few ants and I just started following them around. And when I nailed the focus, the shot to me was absolutely incredible. Like, I've never captured anything like, as far as like on a macro scale like that was able to capture the sharpness and the depth that this lens was able to capture. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on, you know, macro lenses and what you think about this particular shot. Drop them in the comments down below. I mean, to me, this was one of my favorite macro shots I've ever gotten before. But I'm very curious, like, what do you guys think of it? Now, I will say that with the aperture wide open, you have to be very delicate with the focus pulling. It took me a minute to get used to, but once I was able to get it, it was like a lot of fun to be able to rack focus and nail focus on something. I actually found the focus pulling a lot more precise on these particular lenses than on my Sigma Art. Like, you could really fine tune that focus and get it like perfect. And like I said in the beginning of this video, I was so excited to have a full cinema lens set because being able to have a consistent look throughout every focal length is great because you don't have to try and color match the tone or the look of different lenses, which not only saves me time in post, but it gives like a cohesive look throughout my entire film, which is really important. One thing that I wanted to do was test each focal length and the compression of each lens. And starting with the 24mm from about 6 feet away, this is what it looked like. This is the 35mm from the same distance. As you can see, the color and tone looks very similar, but has a little bit more compression to it. Here's the 50mm with a little bit more compression and obviously a little bit tighter of a shot. Now here we have the 75mm, and you could really start to see the difference in compression. And then you have the 100mm, which has a ton of compression, but something that I really liked about it was the way it shaped the face and the way the face looked against the background. Initially, I thought that the 100mm would make the face look way too wide, but I was surprised because it really, to me, out of all of them, it was the best looking image. And here's all the images side by side. Now, all the lenses looked very, very similar, but I did notice a little bit of a difference in the 24mm. It looked a little bit different as far as color and tone from the rest of the set. But that being said, I was shooting this outside, so it very easily could have been affected by the sunlight. Truthfully, you should be doing a lens test like this in a very, very controlled environment, and this wasn't that, so, you know, kind of take it for what it's worth. Now, really quick, let's just go over some of the cons that I found while I was using this lens set. There's only a couple issues that I really see. Number one is the smaller issue, and that is the fact that the diameter of the lens and the lens thread itself is pretty big. So finding filters that fit that is gonna be tough. Now, you could do some step-up rings, but then you might have some vignetting around your lens, which is obviously not good. That's one con that I have. The biggest con that I could see for most people is the fact that there is a lot of lens flaring in these lenses. And if that's not something that you really want or a look that you're going for, you don't really have much of an option unless you put a big heavy matte box on your camera. I know they are selling some smaller ones now and some lighter ones, but how many times do you want to actually rock a matte box on your rig? I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't want the extra gear, I don't want the extra hassle. I only do that when I have a full crew and a full team, and maybe like an assistant cameraman setting it up for me, or I have a DP and a whole camera department working on that. Like I said, to me, I actually like it. I think it gives a unique character and a kind of a unique vintage look to your footage, but I could definitely see how people wouldn't want that. For me, I think these lenses, especially the macro lenses, are an amazing addition to my filmmaking and storytelling because it really gives you that ability to create different looks and perspectives that I really don't think about while I'm out shooting. I mean, when you throw a 100mm prime lens and you force yourself to get creative with it and find new things to shoot with it, you start opening up a whole nother door of creativity that you probably wouldn't even think of if you didn't have something like this. And I know that most filmmakers start off with zoom lenses, but I gotta say that there's something special about having a 100mm prime and finding different shots and perspectives with it, and just moving the camera around and opens up a whole new creative door. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I had a ton of fun using these lenses and creating stuff with it. How many times am I gonna really use the 175mm in my projects? I don't know. You know, I'm gonna have to find out, but I'm excited to see what I can shoot with them and how I can shoot with them, and trying to find different ideas to use them in, and being able to have that option to me is pretty awesome. Sirui right now has an early bird sale on the macro lenses that they just came out with. So if you guys want to check those out, I'll leave a link below along with my discount code to Sirui. And yeah, if you guys want to use those, you guys can. I hope you guys have a great holiday season. Enjoy this beautiful weather, and yeah, man, go out and make some cool stuff. Deuces.